Rise might be good.
It's all downhill.
Yeah. Oh god. No.
Perfect.
No. No.
Item.
Either horn suit.
The horn suit's mine.
Yeah. You got that
For
one.
my ultimate case. Yeah. What's your instrument in the case?
And music.
Oh man, awesome.
Yes. Does he? Oh no, that's not what I meant.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
yeah, like actually.
I see your point.
You know what I mean?
Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Running from the cold up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old-time string band. My baby plays the guitar, I pick a banjo now. Oh, North Country winters keep forgetting me, and I lost my money playing poker, so I had to up and leave. But I ain't no turning back to live that old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Walking due south out of Roanoke, I caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long toke. But he's headed west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. And I gotta get a move on before the sun. I hear my baby calling my name, and I know that she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh, at least I will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass and I'm homebound. Staring blankly ahead, just making my way through the crowd. And I need you, and I miss you, and now I wonder if I could fall into the sky I'll miss you. Now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by? Oh, 'cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. I don't wanna let you know I drown in your memory. I don't wanna let this go. I don't. Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass and I'm homebound. Staring blankly ahead, just making my way through the crowd. And I still need you, and I still miss you. And now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass us by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you. If I could fall into the sky, do you think time would pass me by? 'Cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you. If I can just hold you tonight. I still hear your voice when you sleep next to me. I still feel your touch in my dream. Forgive me my weakness, but I don't know why. Without you, it's hard to survive. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static, and every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat? So I can't let you go. Want you in my life. Your arms are my castle, your heart is my sky. They wipe away tears that I cry. The good and the bad times, we've been through them all. You make me rise when I fall. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static, and every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat? So I can't let you go. Want you in my life.
1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea, but as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would away forever, exalted in the sea, as long as
direct your attention toward the first baseline and welcome the Duke University class of 2015. Now entering the Durham Bulls athletic park are the candidates for the Trinity College of Arts and Sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the candidates from the Pratt School of Engineering. Next, the candidates from the Sanford School of Public Policy. Now the candidates from the Nicholas School of the Environment. Candidates from the Fuqua School. Now entering are the candidates from the School of Nursing. welcome the candidates from the Divinity School. Entering now are the candidates from the School of Law. Please welcome the candidates from the School of Medicine. Entering now are the candidates from the graduate school. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing as we recognize the faculties of Duke University, the university administration, and the members of the Board of Trustees, followed by the members of the Platform Party. And now please join our student ensemble in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets, revolts bursting, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let us pray. Wellspring of life, in the midst of the grand sonic symphony of your creation, we praise you because morning has broken like the first morning, though we find ourselves not in a utopian garden, but on a well-manicured baseball field. Nonetheless, we are still filled with the light of this new day as we stand in awe under the refreshing canopy of your love. As we gather in this baseball stadium, we participate in this sacrament of pause to pray and center down and see ourselves pass by. And as we study ourselves, we recognize that while at Duke, some of us hit home runs, others hit singles, doubles, or triples. Some just walked all the time, and others struck out in courses or relationships. But today, as a collective team, as the class of 2015 and others, cheer us on in the stands as we score by receiving a Duke degree. We celebrate this educational victory and accomplishment, yet we recognize that we have not been alone in this university game, but have been surrounded by a great cloud of human witnesses who have rooted for us every day. We thank you for family and friends who are gathered here from near and far and who provided financial and emotional support and believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. We thank you for the Duke family who established this university and the trustees, administrators, faculty, and staff who continue the rich tradition of eruditio et religio, knowledge in service to society, with their vision, guidance, energy, commitment, research, teaching, and service. And we thank you for the students who began this path with us but are not here today. We remember them as we commence in downtown Durham, amid the sea of tobacco warehouses, which reminds us of our calling to serve the broader society. We remember those walking these streets with no jobs, no family, no degrees, no one to cheer them on in life. May we serve not only dear old Duke in the years ahead, but everyone we meet, drawing on what we have gained here. Thank you for the gift of this educational oasis. On this day, our cups run over and we are full in heart and mind as we remember the past and gaze toward the horizon of our future. May we harness what we have received here and soar courageously with wings like eagles in your holy breeze. Breathe on us that we may be ignited with a fiery creativity to work toward truth, goodness, justice, and beauty, and to give back what we have been given for the common good. As we face the rising sun of this new day begun, may all whom we encounter from this day forward call us a blessing. In the name of the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen. Please be seated.
Good morning, class of 2015. And greetings to your parents, your family, and your friends. On behalf of the Duke faculty and trustees, I welcome you to the 163rd commencement of Duke University. We're delighted to have you here with us on this historic day at the Durham Bull Athletic Park to celebrate the achievements of the class of 2015. Graduates, in less than an hour, you will gain a distinguished title that will stay with you the whole of your life. You'll be a graduate of Duke University. You earned your degree by your hard work and your determination, and you should be proud of your accomplishment. But I'd also ask you to be mindful of the many people who made this day possible. Your family and friends who helped and supported you on your way here. Your faculty at Duke who challenged and encouraged you to stretch yourself in ways you never thought possible. Your teachers from your whole life who encouraged you to pursue this goal. Today, I just ask you to remember with gratitude those who lifted you to this moment. Each year, Duke holds a competitive process to select one graduating student from among all the schools to speak at commencement. This year's student speaker is Andrew Craigie. This year's speaker is the highly popular Andrew Craigie, who grew up in Chevy Chase, Maryland. At Duke, he discovered a passion for journalism, writing columns and feature articles for the Chronicle and the Duke Political Review. He spent a summer working for a microfinance organization in Brazil on Duke Engage. He led a chapel course about international volunteering that included a service trip to Costa Rica. He graduates today with a double major in political science and public policy and a certificate in Latin American studies. Please join me in welcoming Andrew Craigie.
Good morning, faculty, family, and friends. Good morning to our distinguished guests. And good morning to Duke University's class of 2015. And an especially good morning to all the mothers here today who are making yet another sacrifice for us by spending their Mother's Day sitting in the hot sun. Forgot to edit that part. Thank you, Tropical Storm Anna. From all of the graduates out here today, we thank you for your love and support every step of the way. Often, we like to pretend that our accomplishments are ours alone, but we might not say it often, but really, we could not have done it without you. That one's for you, Mom. This morning, I want to talk about vision and execution. There's a quote I love that says, "Vision without execution is just hallucination." People attribute it to everyone from Edison to Einstein, and someone traced it back to a Japanese proverb that goes, "Vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare." But no matter who said it, it makes a good point that we need a creative vision to make change in the world, but that vision alone is not enough, that we also need execution to make that change real. Okay, now think for a minute. Do you remember what you were doing at 5 p.m. on Sunday, March 29th? You might have been cheering for our men's basketball team while they played Gonzaga and earned their spot in the Final Four. And you might have kept watching the same channel after the game when Duke was featured again, this time for a new brain cancer treatment. Both of these very public victories came after years of hard work and some brilliant behind-the-scenes innovation. This cancer treatment uses the polio virus to fight brain cancer. A Duke doctor turned a terrible disease into a tool in the fight against another terrible disease. Now that is Duke innovation, combining a creative vision with years of painstaking execution. And though Cameron Indoor Stadium may seem like an unlikely arena for innovation, hear me out on this. It was about a year ago that Coach K had a creative new vision for how the men's basketball team would work together. He spotted a talented new recruit, and he thought the team would do best with that recruit at point guard. But Quinn Cook, a member of our very own class of 2015, had always played point guard. Now, my friends will tell you that I know nothing about sports. I'm the guy freshman year who walked up to a basketball player in Kville and asked him what tent number he was, but I have to imagine it's hard to change the position you've always played. But our team worked hard, practiced together, and executed Coach K's vision. And boy, did it pay off with a national championship win for Duke. Now, I might not know much about sports, but what I do know about, and what I think you know about too, is basically just as exciting. Reading. We spent the past few years reading a lot, whether it was MATLAB or Melville, Case Law or Church Fathers, Friedrich Hayek or Rachel Carson. There's been a lot of small print. And all that small print has probably left us more nearsighted than when we first arrived. I'm just hoping I can still read well enough to check my diploma and make sure that I have, in fact, graduated because, well, can parking and transportation actually keep you from graduating? It's a question on a lot of our minds. So while Duke may have hurt our eyesight, it also taught us to see some things differently, like shades of blue. There's the good one, and, well, you know. It wasn't until 2014, though, that I realized the most powerful way Duke changes our vision. On a service trip in Costa Rica, our group lived alongside students from another university, and over dinner one night, just making conversation back and forth, we asked what they liked about their school and what they would change about it. And their forks stopped in midair, and they looked back at us, and their jaws dropped as if we had asked, not, what would you change about your school, but what would you change about your mother? Oh, we like our school the way it is, they quickly replied, though they eventually conceded that they would add more parking, something we could empathize with after long years of long trudges from the far reaches of the blue zone. You know what I'm talking about. But they didn't want to change anything else. And then they asked us how we would change Duke, and we had no trouble coming up with a long list. From student organization funding, to social culture, to handicapped accessibility, to all that construction. And I don't think we liked Duke any less than they liked their school. No, if any outsider had made those same criticisms, we would have snarled back at them. No, I think we were able to come up with that list of changes because Duke has given us what I call Blue Devil double vision. On the one hand, Dukies learn to see the world as it is. We're taught to figure out how systems work, whether anatomical, political, economic, or theological. It's trite but true that higher education doesn't just teach us, but rather teaches us how to learn. It equips us with the ability to analyze the world around us wherever we are plopped down in that world, which is probably why 98.7% of my peers are headed into consulting. We don't hold on to utopian visions that keep us from operating successfully in the world as it is. We are realistic, practical, pragmatic people. But over 4 years here, I've learned that at our best, we are also idealistic. While we've been taught to figure out how systems work, we've also been taught to creatively imagine how they might work better. Think of all the social justice campaigns we've witnessed on campus, from women's empowerment to interfaith dialogues, from med students who host a Black Lives Matter die-in, to law school students who work tirelessly to free the wrongly convicted. Now, many of the people graduating here today will probably be successful at execution, in business or medicine or law or art or fields we have not even imagined yet. But we are not just good at execution. We are not just seeking success. We are not just ruthlessly practical profit seekers. No, this isn't Wolf of Wall Street University. This is Duke University. And here, we've been pushed to develop a creative vision for how to improve the world around us. We can imagine how our communities, our countries, our world might be more peaceful, more just, more equitable, more beautiful. Our speaker, Dr. Farmer, has lived this out as he worked to improve medical care in rural Haiti. He had to work to understand the world as it was so that he could execute successfully, but he still had to hold tight to his vision of how the world might be. That's the Blue Devil double vision. We can simultaneously see the world both as it is and as it might be. We can accept, work with, and even come to love the way things are without ever giving up on our vision of how they can be made better. We can realistically but lovingly critique the institutions to which we belong, whether they're hospitals or businesses or government agencies. We are reformers who care about results. We are advocates with realistic approaches. We are effective agents of change. Duke has prepared us to combine vision and execution, to marry idealism and pragmatism. Duke has challenged us to look through two lenses at the same time. Like if I look through my glasses and see you clearly out in front, or lift them up and see a hazy vision of what might be over the next decades as we go out and change the world. We can see the world both as it is and as it might be. And I hope we hold on to this Blue Devil double vision, because if we do, we might get to not only succeed for ourselves, but also to leave the world a little bit better than we found it. Thank you.
I thank you, Andrew, for saying what we all feel and what we all need to hear. I'm now pleased to call to the podium the chair of the Duke University Board of Trustees, Mr. David M. Rubenstein. David Rubenstein is co-founder and CEO of the Carlyle Group, one of the world's largest private equity firms. He's also one of this nation's most remarkable philanthropists, having acquired rare copies of the Magna Carta, Emancipation Proclamation, and other founding documents for the enjoyment of the nation, and having rebuilt the Washington Monument and led the restoration of Monticello and Mount Vernon, among other treasures. David Rubenstein attended Duke on an academic scholarship and believes in giving back to open the doors of opportunity to future generations. Chair Rubenstein.
Thank you, Mr. President. Monuments and documents are very important, but nothing is more important than educating our youth. And in educating our youth, nothing is more important than getting a Duke degree. Mr. President, it is my pleasure and privilege as chair of the Board of Trustees of Duke University to declare this convocation is now open for the conferring of honorary degrees. The candidates for honorary degrees have been approved by the faculty of the university and by the Board of Trustees. Each will be accompanied by a faculty sponsor.
Thank you. Among the honors bestowed by universities, few have the symbolic importance of an honorary degree. Honorary degrees are given to recognize achievements and contributions to society of the very highest order. The individuals we honor today have made extraordinary contributions to our time. We lift them up as inspiring examples for our graduates. They used to be your age, illustrations of what men and women can accomplish by developing their particular gifts and talents to the highest degree of excellence and directing them to service of society. I now invite Professor Robert Calderbank to accompany to the podium Franz Cordova, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Science. Franz Cordova is the director of the National Science Foundation, the only federal agency dedicated to the support of basic research and education in all fields of science and engineering, including social sciences. But her path to science was a surprising one. The eldest of 12 children, born to a Mexican father and an Irish-American mother, she enjoyed physics but received no encouragement to pursue it as a career. She majored in English at Stanford, and a few years later, working as a journalist, she thought to ask herself the question, what did she really want to be by the time she was 30? The answer for Dr. Cordova was to follow her original intellectual curiosity back to physics. But how are you going to break into that field? She got a job as a research assistant, first at MIT, then at Caltech. She took background courses and impressed her professors. Eventually, she was accepted into the graduate program in physics at Caltech, earning her PhD in 1979. Throughout her career, this distinguished astrophysicist has kept one foot in academia and one in government service. She has been the chief scientist of NASA. She has been the president of Purdue University. Now she is director of the National Science Foundation. In each of these positions, she was the first woman to hold each of these posts. France Cordova once said of her career choices, "I didn't have a strategic plan, I had an appetite for discovery. I'm an explorer and I follow my instincts." Her instincts, together with her intellect and hard work, have served her well and the world well. Duke salutes this explorer, scientist, and influential leader and presents France Cordova with the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. I now invite Vice Provost Scott Lindroth to accompany to the podium Renee Fleming, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Arts. We meet again. Renee Fleming was born to parents who were both high school vocal music teachers, but despite this pedigree and her early immersion in music, opera did not come easily to her, and she had to work hard to refine her technique and overcome stage fright. A cancellation in 1988 in the role of the Countess in Mozart's Marriage of Figaro led to her first big break in the opera world, and the world sat up and listened. Her voice has been described as creamy silver. It has been said of her that she has a commanding intelligence and musicianship that take her gift even further, allowing her to interpret and communicate on the highest level. That ability to communicate has enabled Renee Fleming to sing to enthralled crowds in every great opera house all over this world. She commands a vast opera repertory reaching from Baroque through Mozart and bel canto to Strauss and our contemporaries. And she has a most unusual gift to connect with audiences far beyond traditional opera lovers. She was asked to sing at the Beijing Olympics. She was asked to sing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace for the Diamond Jubilee of the Queen. Last winter, she became the first classical artist asked to sing the Star-Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl. She has sung with the Muppets, and she appears on the soundtrack of The Lord of the Rings, in which she sings in Elvish. Now we're getting serious. This is a diva, and this is no diva. In celebration of her artistry and eagerness to share her gifts in the largest possible measure, Duke is delighted to present Renee Fleming with the honorary degree of Doctor of Arts. Wait for your hood. Our next candidate is Rakesh Jain, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Dr. Jain's faculty sponsor is Professor Chris Willett, who is represented today by Professor Mary Sunday. I now invite Professor Sunday to accompany the candidate to the podium. You're here, Robert. Step up a little. Dr. Rakesh Jain is an engineer who has advanced our understanding of cancer, a distinguished Harvard scientist who believes in sharing his knowledge with the public and training the next generation. He received his undergraduate degree in India and came to the United States for graduate work, all in chemical engineering. In the early 1980s, he became interested in solid tumors and used his skills as a chemical engineer to understand the peculiarities of the blood systems that serve and feed cancerous tumors. It was these discoveries that led him to understand why medication was not being taken into those tumors to have the effect it had been predicted to have, opening the door to major therapeutic benefits that have benefited people now across many decades. He encountered early skepticism and was challenged for unconventional ideas, but he persevered, has landed many, many grants, published important papers, and made treatment outcomes that have improved the lives of patients. Today, this scientist and author is not alone in his lab. An avid collaborator, he has worked with Duke faculty, he has Duke students now under his tutorship in another university. He has mentored more than 200 students from more than a dozen disciplines, and Dr. Jain has educated the broader public about the value of integrating engineering with biology to improve cancer treatment by writing 4 articles in Scientific American. For this pioneering example of bench-to-bedside translation in oncology, and for living out the full mission of an academic medical center, Duke is honored to present Rakesh Jain the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Good. Here it comes. Good. Thank you. I now invite Professor Kenneth Dodge to accompany to the podium David Levin and Michael Feinberg, candidates for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Gentlemen, in the problem of inequality of America's K-12 education, the most ambitious and successful intervention has been the KIPP program, the Knowledge is Power program. As some of our graduates plan to do, after these guys graduated from college, Dave Levin and Mike Feinberg went to work for Teach for America. Teaching 5th grade in inner-city schools in Houston, they bonded over the challenge of motivating students, and they brainstormed about solutions to the problem they lived every day. To put their ideas in practice, in the fall of 1994, Dave and Mike started a free, open enrollment middle school in Houston, and the first KIPP school was born. They had a mission to expand opportunities for low-income and minority students. They lengthened the school day and year. They had 2 simple rules: work hard and be nice. And they led deeper thinking about the building of the characterological bases necessary for the success of higher-level academic skills. As students began to succeed, the KIPP schools began to attract partners who invested in this model in order to train teachers and serve even more children. Today, there are 162, not 3 by this morning, 162 KIPP schools are inspiring 60,000 students to reach for college. Duke is proud to have a partnership with KIPP, and I am proud that we have former KIPP students with us graduating and receiving their degree today. For their innovative approach to helping students live up to their full potential, Duke is pleased to present to Mike Feinberg and Dave Levin the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Face forward. Uh-huh. You guys are a little tall.
I can handle it.
Congratulations. I now invite Professor Boyd Strain to accompany to the podium Harold Mooney, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Hello. Harold Mooney came to Duke for graduate school in order to study with the great botanist Dwight Billings, considered the father of physiological plant ecology. He completed his PhD in plant ecology in 1960, a time when scientists were just beginning to understand the dimensions and implications of climate change. At Duke, Professor Mooney learned to ask difficult questions in a rapidly expanding field, and he has subsequently become a leader in assessing the impact of climate change and ecosystem degradation on systems ranging from the tropics to the Arctic. Since 1968, he has taught at Stanford University, His research focuses on biological diversity and ecological services exposed to great threat today. He's won every award in his field and has become a leader globally in his cause. He has chaired the U.S. Global Change Committee and co-chaired the science panel of the influential UN Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. In admiration for this distinguished Duke alumnus, an outstanding example of creating knowledge in service of society, Duke is honored to present Harold Mooney with the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Congratulations.
Thank you. Great. That's what we need is one more Duke to do it. Great, Bill. Thank you.
I now invite John Brown to accompany to the podium McCoy Tyner, candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Arts. Last year, the world celebrated the 50th anniversary of an unforgettable musical event, A Love Supreme, recorded on one night, December 9th, 1964, by the John Coltrane Quartet. This 33-minute improvisational suite is Coltrane's expression of his spiritual journey after his struggle with addiction. In addition to Coltrane, the quartet included drummer Elvin Jones, bassist Jimmy Garrison, and a talented young pianist named McCoy Tyner. At that recording session, the lights were dimmed to create the feeling of an intimate jazz club. The legendary chemistry of the band, developed over years of playing together, meant they could rely on unspoken communication, and Coltrane gave few verbal directions. In an interview, Mr. Tyner recalled, "I couldn't wait to go to work at night. I didn't know what we were going to do. We couldn't really explain why things came together so well. It's hard to explain things like that." Mr. Tyner left the quartet in 1965 and over a lifetime of music has released nearly 80 albums. He's continued to incorporate new elements into his music, has adopted Latin and African rhythms arranged for big bands, employed string arrangements, and reinterpreted popular music. He's earned 5 Grammy Awards and has been named a jazz master by the National Endowment for the Arts. It may be hard to explain such artistry and innovation, but at least we can honor it. To McCoy Tyner, giant of the world of jazz and American treasure, Duke is proud to present the honorary degree of Doctor of Arts. It's now my privilege to introduce our commencement speaker, the co-founder of Partners in Health, an international nonprofit organization that provides health care in some of the poorest countries in the world. Paul Farmer is a physician by training, a humanitarian by temperament, and a deeply pragmatic problem solver. Oh, Paul, I hope you didn't hear that. A deeply pragmatic problem solver by necessity. But to welcome Paul Farmer at Duke's commencement is a special pleasure because he's one of our own, a Duke undergraduate of yore and now a Duke trustee. And we might even propose that it was at Duke that he began to put the themes of his life together, that his education here helped him find the calling for which we know him now. Paul Farmer came to Duke on a full scholarship, open to learning in all its forms. He got interested in poetry, women's studies, anthropology. He was social chair of his fraternity. He did experimental theater. He got to know migrant farm workers from Haiti who were harvesting tobacco in fields not far from campus. He then began to read about Haiti's history and culture, and he began to study the Creole language, beginning a lifelong involvement with that country. That characteristic, deep knowledge born of deep human connection, may explain why his perspective is sought in the world's gravest health crises. In 2009, Dr. Farmer was named United Nations Deputy Special Envoy to Haiti, serving under former President Bill Clinton. When Haiti suffered a devastating earthquake the next year, Dr. Farmer's expertise was invaluable to the rebuilding effort. Later, his role transitioned to be a special advisor to the UN Secretary General on lessons from Haiti. More recently, as Partners in Health monitored the recent Ebola outbreak in Liberia, Dr. Farmer observed, "This isn't a natural disaster, this is the terrorism of poverty." There will be lessons here too if the world has ears to hear. Dr. Farmer is currently serving as a Duke trustee, and therefore it is not in my power to give him an honorary degree. I hope he will be content with the degree he already possesses and with the warm welcome he will receive from you. Please join me in welcoming Paul Farmer.
All right.
Thank you, Dick, and congratulations, class of 2015. I mean, that's some cheap thrills. I learned a long time ago that's how you get applause. Just talk about you guys. When about almost a year ago, Dick Broadhead sent me an email asking me to call him, excuse me, I am a professor, although you neglected to mention that, Dick. I do have a paying job. But that just means I'm going to use air quotes a lot. Don't worry, this will be over in an hour. He sent me an email asking him to call him about a confidential matter of great importance. I assumed that I was in some sort of trouble. How had I failed Broadhead, the gentle and avuncular humanist, the Pope Francis of university presidents? My hypothesis: I had been voted off the island as a trustee because of absenteeism. In my defense, which I began practicing as ardently as a former U.S. president who graduated from our law school, where are you, law students and faculty? Don't sue me. In my defense, I had joined the board just after a series of hurricanes struck Haiti and shortly before an earthquake leveled much of its capital, including the nation's chief nursing school and many of its hospitals and clinics. Then came cholera. As a doctor with 25 years experience in Haiti, I thought it important that I be there. The other trustees, including my pals now finishing from 12 to 17 years of service on the board, were unambivalently on my side, as was David, our chairman. But Broadhead's subtext seemed to be, after all Duke has done for you, what have you done for Duke? That was supposed to be funny. You know, how come it starts raining when I get up? My goddaughter, the youngest of my best friend from Wanamaker back in the day when fresh persons trod its halls. Are you cheering for Wanamaker? My goddaughter fanned my anxiety. Quite the acerbic critic during her high school years, Hannah put it this way: Paul, can you at least attend enough board meetings so that my connection to you won't be held against me when I apply? She has, I'm proud to say, just finished her sophomore year here, so don't have to worry about her. But then there's my own daughter, already following my Sassmeister goddaughter's footsteps, a couple of years behind in high school. What if I were to imperil our daughter's chances of coming here, or that of her little brother and sister? This was, part of me knew, crazy talk. So I turned to darker thoughts, much darker than AIDS or Ebola or drug-resistant tuberculosis. Did Pope Richard over there find out about some of my bad behavior here between 1978, when I left small-town Florida? It was practically my first airplane flight, and 1982, when I left for small-town Haiti. True, Broadhead wasn't here back then, but had he tapped my phone NSA style? Why, oh why did I sign up for Verizon on my BlackBerry? Is that engineering laughter over there? Or perhaps a faculty member from back in the day. I knew it wasn't the rumpled and gentle classicist Peter Burian. Where is he? He would never not be here. Thank you, Peter. I knew it wasn't you. Nor could it be my biochemistry professor, Barbara Shaw. No hard-nosed tyrant she. How about Dean Sue? Another way to get a cheap cheer at Duke. Just say Dean Sue. Dean Sue, Dean Sue, Dean Sue. Victor Zhao, my chief of medicine at Harvard and a mentor, was Duke's chancellor for health affairs at the time of Broadhead's thinly veiled threats. But tough exterior aside, Dr. Zhao wouldn't hurt a fly. It's those gentle humanists you got to worry about, especially those who remember a thing or two about history. And Duke had always been, even in my day, a tech-friendly school. We probably invented those drones. I tried hard to think about my MFR, my misdemeanor to felony ratio, from 1978 on. I did end up in prison, for years in fact, and in many prisons. You think about that. I'll come back to it in about an hour. Yes, I had an MFR, and it was not as low as I'd like to think my daughters or goddaughters are and will be forever and ever, world without end, amen. There's no point in denying it, since a couple of my fraternity brothers are here in the audience, with children graduated today from Hogwarts South. By the way, guys, where are you? It says Miller Lite Party Deck over there. Thank you. Other friends are now faculty or work in senior level administrative positions at Duke. Let me warn the Kappa Sigs lest they think to share my MFR with my daughter, now a high school senior. I calculated your MFRs too. Conspiracy theories picked up speed along with my pulse. When my prompt response, I called Broadhead like 2 seconds later, led to more anxiety. His assistant, who I knew well, refused to tell me a thing. "Oh, I'm not at all sure what this is about," she said darkly, suggesting I call him at home that night. It had to be that I was the worst trustee in Duke's history, reaching back into the 19th century before the Bassett Affair. I wondered if anyone would laugh at that, and the answer is no, only a trustee, one. This generation doesn't do history. I wondered as I dialed Broadhead's home, what if Cindy picks up? Has anyone ever been fired from the Duke board? What will Victor Zhao say? Now, I said none of this to our dear Dumbledore Gandalf when he and not his wife picked up the phone and asked if I'd give the 2015 commencement speech. Hell yeah, I almost said. Been hoping you've been asked that before Coach K came to dominate. Yo. Done did Yale and Harvard frickin' medical school 10 years back. Instead, with faux gravitas, to mix unnecessarily highbrow but broadheadian terms, I replied, "Thank you, Dick. It would be my great honor to do so." Every good commencement speech has to have, as medical students whine. Where are the medical students? They said meekly. That's like peeping like a chick. The students whine all the time. They need a clear take-home message. Have you already started doing that here? Where are howdy to Eric Nelson and Giannis Koulias. Where are you guys? Soon to join us as interns at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. You'll love it there. Unlike Duke University Medical Center, we don't haze the young at Harvard's teaching hospitals. The med school curriculum is more rigid than the colleges, as I learned when I switched my major from biochemistry to anthropology during my senior year. Oops. So where are you chem majors and grad students in general? There you go. That's supposed to be more than half of you. Peep a little bit louder than the med students, please. Barbara Shaw is a goddess. Is Barbara Shaw here? All right, you tell her I said she was a goddess, okay? And tell her I said thank you for writing all those damn letters of recommendation. Anthro undergrads, PhDs. Duke faculty get over the culture wars yet? The 19th century ones? That was an informed joke and fell flat. Take-home messages must number 3, 7, or 9 and be grounded in narrative. I have only 3, and though I don't trust TED Talks any further than I could throw Jaleel Okafor, I would not have fried and sunburnt you if we were in Wallace Rose Bowl Wade PTSD Stadium. And if it had not been pouring when I rose to finish this speech, he who must not be read. By the way, great job, Andrew Craigie, and an inspiring message. As we write under hospital notes written by interns, agree with above. Listen, Barbara Kingsolver talked through a pouring rainstorm, I'm told. I'm not about to stop. It took me forever to write this damn speech. My 3 messages will be of universal significance and have pragmatic application for each and every one of you and for your grandmas. Grandma got run over by a rainstorm. Now and forever. So here's my first shout out to mothers. Any moms out there? Anyone ever have a mother? Say, thank you, Mom. I'll put all 3 messages in basketball terms, which would astound my family, what with the PTSD and all. Let me explain. I'm so happy to not be in Wallace Wade Stadium. You'd think that after my career as one of Duke's greatest ever scholar athletes, displacing Frank Emery, class of '79 and BMOC. Sorry, Ross. Don't tell me he's like his father. BMOC, big man on campus. He is, I can tell. Anyway, you think I would want to talk. Where is Frank? You didn't laugh? You'd think I would want to talk in either Cameron or Wade Stadia. I was in 1981 the reason we did so well in the NCAA, having led in rebounds or jump shots or recovers or intercepts or some such, and having served admirably that same year as a linebacker on the football team, where I led in runbacks or field points or goals or whatever. And after practice, off I trudged along the imaginatively named Science Drive and Research Drive. Really, aren't those naming opportunities? Thank you. To conduct experiments in the lab, passing in front of the Pratt School where Melinda Gates was inventing MS-DOS or whatever, but where I was dominating both the hoops court and the lab. Oh yes, and the foosball table of Kappa Sig. Foosball? Kappa Sig. Are there any hoops fans out there? Any hoops fans out there? I'm still trying to be one. How about that big win, 68-63? I was in Sierra Leone the day Duke beat Wisconsin. And may be forgiven for believing that March Madness was a term recently invented to describe the stuttering decline of the Ebola epidemic. But that's the thing about cultural and experiential difference. You can always try to learn. So I read, for the first time, Sports Illustrated. It's easy for me to read journals like Clinical Infectious Disease or Medical Anthropology Quarterly, but the following was lost on me, and I quote, Winslow is only 6'6" and 225 pounds, but he uses his wingspan and his relentless energy to bother opposing power forwards. Only 6'6". What are power forwards? Progressive Power Rangers like the ones my son plays with? And how could a mere human have a wingspan that brought to mind, at least to my mind, species of bird? Albatross, cormorant, and a hinga. Hey, where are our bio and zoology majors? Any ornithologists? Very 19th century. Like the cultural wars at Duke. Kudos to our honorary degree recipient, Dr. Harold Mooney, the plant man, and a Duke grad who shaped the field of modern ecology. Now stop Ebola. Another informed joke wasted on all of you. Ecology, forest, never mind. The last line in the SI paragraph, and no, Dean Andrews, SI does not mean sacroiliac. Where's Dean Andrews? The last line in the paragraph is the following, and I quote, Winslow shot 57.5 from the field and 53.6 from 3. What does that mean? No clue. Sounds to me like case fatality rates in the current Ebola crisis. I saw the word stats. I love biostats. And read on. The stats persuaded Cook to shoot more off the catch than off the dribble. Wow. Quinn, where are you? Where are you? Help a brother out. What does that mean? Yes, I said, where are you, Quinn Cook? Mother of Quinn. Happy Mother's Day. Nolan Smith, we got to meet them yesterday and have our faith in humanity restored. Will you guys and your families forgive me for my colossal ignorance of basketball? Janet Hill already has. Since my undergraduate anatomy course, I thought the calves were the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The great vessels, that is what we called them. On the other hand, not a single one of you champions knows how to dose even the most basic antibiotics. SI, Sports Illustrated, reminded me that we all think we live in different worlds. These are, as I learned at Duke, socially constructed. They tend to diverge over time. But in fact, we live in one world, not three. Message one is about the need for what they also used to refer to in the 19th century as fellow feeling. The parable of the Good Samaritan illustrates the point better than I will. But here comes the narrative, one I proffer with full apologies to my teachers and to the administration. You better be laughing. Unfortunately, it's true. Wade Stadium would be bad enough, what with Oprah and all. Get it? I'd have to follow Oprah. But Cameron would trigger far worse PTSD, since the only time I went to a game, I stayed for less than half of it. Why, you wonder? I was that evening in the company of some of my fraternity brothers. I won't name names, but Dave and Mark were there. Brian was likely off accruing further brain damage on the football field. I'm sorry to say it, dear offspring of said brothers, but Laurie and Sturley were likely present. I will say no more, but picture the scene. Within the fastness of Cameron, there was a great din, drums and horns and shouting. It looked innocently like Page Auditorium on the outside, but sounded like the mines of Moria on the inside. The crazies were picking on one player from the other team, the name of which escapes me. PTSD. But he was neither Tar Heel nor Cav. Soon I was hurling completely inappropriate epithets at a player who was, let's just say, of my own cultural background. If you've been attentive, you know I'm from rural Florida, and let's just say trailers were involved. My cosmopolitan daughter, the senior, who did in fact apply to Duke, once surveyed my hometown and said something along the lines of, "So that explains it." Back to Cameron. I let forth a volley of orc-like jeers. The enemy, frazzled, looked up into the crowd and right into my eyes, letting me know he'd heard the taunt. And so I slipped out, almost sprinting, with shame and fear, and ran back to Science Drive before this gigantic version of my peeps, this pink Balrog, could beat me to a pulp. True story of behavior Coach K or Kevin would never condone, nor would Cook or Smith or any other true sportsman. This is not what James B. Duke had in mind when he left a fortune to Trinity College in order to carefully select students of character, determination, and application. Professors Burrian and Shaw, Dean Sue, I'm sorry. Don't tell Dr. Zhao, please. Don't tell my doctor journalist pal, John LaPook. Oh, wait, he's here. Let me say it before the divinity students do so. That's a yelp from a divine yelp. Crowd-driven behavior is often bad, and I knew it even as I joined in. Am I allowed to ask for a cheer or at least absolution from the divinity students? Point one, dear graduates, is that it's important to reject the notion, alas still fashionable, that we can't really understand the views of others or their suffering or dismay. The notion that each of us, atomized, can extend empathy or mercy or solidarity only to those most like us, this claim is both false and grotesque and undermines not only campus culture, about which we obsess over much, but also the real world's culture it reflects. Imagine what medicine or nursing would be like if we maintained that it's not possible to treat leukemia or empathize with a patient with leukemia unless we ourselves had endured it. You with me, Duke nurses? Allied health professionals? You're waving a lot over there, but not at me. We understand what someone being choked means when he says, "I can't breathe." We know why some more than others have good reason to be frightened of a fate that would include being choked or shot or flung around in the back of a van. We know why failing to rescue refugees on the high seas is a dereliction of duty. We know why some in West Africa have fled the formal medical system since it can't afford them proper medical care. And I'm sorry to darken your day by noting that while the mortality rate among Americans with Ebola is approximately 0, it has not budged in the course of a year below 69% across the region most affected. I've recently returned from one of these countries. Well, not that I've been there in the past 21 days, of course. Epidemiological humor gets a little echo. Our species gets into trouble any and every time we consider anyone to be less than human. True, there are times, like when looking at SI, by which Dean Nancy Andrews, I still don't mean sacroiliac. There are times when I wonder if someone with a 6'10" wingspan or someone who is vertically 6'11" might be superhuman. But it's the lack of empathy that leads to problems. And empathy can be cultivated, even among those whose worlds have diverged. Take my goddaughter in Haiti. The former is a die-hard sports fan, as she was when she weighed no more than Okafor's kneecap, or stood less tall than Mike Winslow's humerus. Come on, guys. Sports humor, I mean, that's a stretch for me. My daughter, in contrast, would know the French word for badger, but would likely associate the word with Winnie the Pooh or Lord of the Rings. Speaking of which, please note that one of our honorees, the great Renee Fleming, has many claims to opera fame. She does a badass Marriage of Figaro, but won our family's hearts by singing on the soundtrack to Lord of the Rings. And how about the great McCoy Tyner here with his son Dean and his grandson? Nerd music overlap is always possible, even when nerd sports dialogue founders. Message 2, get ready for some disappointments or some things not to work out as you expect. Let me wax nostalgic about my last year at Duke and about what happened afterwards. For some reason, I knew even in high school that I wanted to be a doctor. And I learned at Duke that I wanted to be a physician anthropologist. Thank you, Anthro Department. I even knew that I wanted to work in West Africa, and that was eons before Duke Engage. So I applied, rather confidently, for a Fulbright scholarship. The first two propositions worked out in short order, and thanks to my mentors here, within a couple of years of graduation, I was beginning an MD PhD program at Harvard. Thank you, Dr. Shaw and scattered anthro faculty, for all those letters of recommendation. Thank you, Hans Saucy, class of 1981, my daughter's godfather, who edited all my books, but not this speech. Hannah's father, however, edited it severely. Hey, any MD PhDs out here? Scattered piping. Again, birds come to mind. How about all those who received, as of today, a second degree of any sort? Joint degrees. Where are the 1,200 master's degree students hiding? The third proposition to go and work in West Africa took 30 years. I never set foot in either Liberia or Sierra Leone until 11 months ago, since I was turned down here at Duke for a Fulbright. I didn't even get an interview. But that led me to Haiti, which was the greatest thing since Duke that ever happened to me. I hope that all of you graduates, and especially those who aren't exactly sure what you'll be doing over the next few months, are open to serendipity and disappointments and to changing directions when circumstances call for it. Don't hang on to narrow notions of success or to the anxiety that too often accompanies them. Message 3, final message, is related to the first two. Don't forget, as I sometimes did, how lucky we are. I'm not referring specifically to the merits of your alma mater, as Duke will be as soon as I shut up, but rather to things I took for granted when I made my first airplane flight to a place called Durham. That was to attend something called Project Wild, a hippie granola outward bound thingy in the Pisgah National Forest. I'd applied to it and was accepted, but my large family couldn't afford to pay for said project. Large, if not as large as France Cordova's, who probably turned to physics for a bit of dark matter respite. Working that last summer at Scotty's Lumber to save money, I'd all but given up on it when someone from Duke called and said, "That's okay, we have need-based scholarships for Project Wild." So my first 2 weeks on a need-based scholarship at Duke were spent in the wilderness of Western North Carolina, and some of the friends I made then are, of course, still my friends today, lo, these 35 years later. Thank you, Paula Crown and Bruce Karsh and others for supporting need-based financial aid here at Duke. And the arts, so richly represented on this podium, not at this one. What is it? Not a podium, stand. You know what I mean. Where are you, art people? We're all art people. Now, what in the world is not need-based? Rather, what problems in our shared worlds, which include in this telling rural Florida, rural North Carolina, rural Haiti, cities and villages of West Africa, also downtown Durham and Boston and Baltimore and Ferguson, what problems are not soluble by coming together and applying even current knowledge, which is far from where we will go, to the sorts of problems I've alluded to here? And please note, I didn't go on about Ebola or AIDS or tuberculosis or earthquakes or hurricane. I've made that mistake in previous commencement addresses. But the true answer is none. None of these complex social problems is insoluble. I know this claim is true. With empathy and patience, need can be assessed, resources assembled, problems solved. Just as empathy can be cultivated, so too can knowledge be put in service to community. Take, as we just did, the examples of Rakesh Jain or the dynamic duo of Michael Feinberg and David Levin. It was my own need to attend a school like this one, even though my family couldn't afford to pay for it, that led me to Duke. And Duke led me to medicine and anthropology, which led me to Haiti and West Africa, if in the opposite order than intended, and also to Harvard, the day job again, Dick. This path was laid right here in this city, thanks to financial aid and other support, and to my parents, who both believed in the power and promise of higher education. And here's my chance to say, thanks, Mom. By the way, quite annoying that she ran a half marathon 2 months ago. Seriously. You can follow your dreams too if you take the time to interpret them now that you're here. But so many in this world are shut out of all dreaming by forces beyond their own control and beyond their parents' control. Let's name some of these forces: poverty and racism and gender inequality and armed conflict, a rising tide of economic disparities, and the sort of environmental degradation that leads to epidemics like Ebola. Where are you, Nicholas School? As any doctor knows, these are pathogenic forces in their own right. And here's where we need help, not only from our engineers. Will you go and fix this stuff already? But also from our MBAs and MMSs and others who can promote economic growth. All right, you guys at Fuqua are always cheering yourselves. We need you to promote economic growth with more inclusion and less destruction of this planet. We know you can. I needn't have worried so much about my misdemeanor to felony ratio. Above, I noted that I'd spent a lot of time in prison. Nobody even asked me about that. In Haiti, Peru, Siberia, and Rwanda, but this had always been as a physician and never as a convict. The situation is in some ways worse in this country. In this week's New Yorker, Jeffrey Toobin reports, and I quote, "a growing national sense that the criminal justice system has failed African Americans." I will add, as an infectious disease doctor, good that it's growing, the sense that we've failed, if less quickly than the size of our warehouse population. Our country has far and away the largest per capita prison population in the world. When and how did this come to pass? Well, I was halfway through my Duke experience. A series of ill-conceived policies led to what can only be called mass incarceration. Where are you, public policy wonks? Fix it. Doctors can't. This led, as elsewhere, to explosions of prison-seated epidemics, but also to a hardening and a lack of empathy and a failure of imagination. The latest explosion in Baltimore is tightly tied to these developments. Far too much talent in my generation and those that followed has already been squandered in prison or jail. Think for a moment of their mothers. That's why I'm proud to share the stage with the founders of KIPP. The title of the book about them is the speech I plan to give in the event of inclement weather. Work hard, be nice. And here's my chance to say to Mr. Matt Cohn and 9 high school students, thank you for being here. Where are you at? Mr. Cohn has built an entire high school curriculum based on social justice. As for my daughter, I knew it would be a mistake for me to pressure her to go to Duke. The signs were not good when, a year ago, I tripped with her down memory lane, meaning from Wanamaker to Crowell Quad and back and forth along Science Drive. She was less reverent than I'd hoped about the Gross building or the other labs in which I toiled, and possibly disdainful of the computer sci building in which anthropology was once housed. So I outsourced that task to my goddaughter. Hannah had, as ever, a plan, and it involved simple but radical proposition of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. She and my daughters. I have a trump card, said Hannah. I'm taking her to one of my classes. This did not impress me as startlingly original. And I said as much on a call, thank you, dear trustees, and I said as much as on a call from Sierra Leone. But the class is Marxism and Society came the tart and devastatingly correct response. Back one last time to basketball and to Sports Illustrated, which does not feature heavily in the syllabus of that course. Marxism and Society, Sports Illustrated. And back to you, dear undergraduates. Come on, undergraduates. The epicenter not only of your mother's worlds, but of the universities, and your own, of course. So finally, who's about to get a BA today? A BS? A BSE? No? Dean, no, Chancellor Washington? Where are you? BSE does not mean bovine spongiform encephalitis. I did understand one part of that article in Sports Illustrated. Okafor's father, and I quote, of course, never having heard of Okafor before preparing for this speech. No offense. Okafor's father said he was not sure his son would choose Duke until 3 or 4 days before the announcement. End quote. Been there. But Hannah delivered, as did this place. My daughter will be coming here in August, a member of the class of 2019. I predict she will work hard and be nice. I know that she will be surrounded, as you have been, and as was I, by talent and creativity and drive. And I hope more than a little kindness, affection, forbearance, and empathy. Our beautiful and troubled planet, to which you will decamp tomorrow, needs these sentiments. Thank you all, class of 2015, for letting me be part of your commencement. Thank you.
Professor Farmer, Dr. Professor Dr. Paul Farmer, I thank you not only for speaking with us today, but for putting before everyone here the exhibit of the fact that your talents needn't amount to little. They could amount to a lot if you make a reach with them. Madam Provost.
Mr. President, as Chief Academic Officer of the University, I have the honor of declaring this convocation now open for the awarding of earned degrees. As they are called, I invite the deans of the schools and the college to present the candidates and their degree marshals. I now call upon Paula McLean, Dean of the Graduate School.
Will the candidates for the graduate school please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I am honored to present the intellectually brilliant and analytically strong women and men of the graduate school. who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy, our highest academic honor, Master of Science, Master of Arts in Teaching, and Master of Fine Arts, and whose names appear in the printed program.
The highest purpose of a university is to train the minds of those who seek to widen the boundaries of human understanding, and who will become future scholars and teachers for our nation and the world. By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the graduate school and welcome you to the company of those engaged in the continuing search for knowledge.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on Nancy Andrews, Dean of the School of Medicine.
Happy Mother's Day, Provost Kornbluth. Will the candidates for the School of Medicine please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the brilliant and dedicated women and men from the School of Medicine who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Medicine, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Master of Health Sciences, Master of Health Sciences in Clinical Research, Master of Health Sciences in Clinical Leadership, and Master of Biostatistics, and whose names appear on the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the School of Medicine and welcome you to the company of those dedicated to the care of human life and health. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on David F. Levy, Dean of the School of Law.
Will the candidates for the School of Law please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the justice-seeking men and women of the School of Law who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Juridical Science, Juris Doctor, Master of Laws in Law and Entrepreneurship, and Master of Laws in International and Comparative Law. Their names appear in the printed programs.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the School of Law and welcome you to the company of those committed to the pursuit of truth and justice. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on Richard B. Hayes, Dean of the Divinity School.
Will the candidates for the Divinity School please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the spirited men and women of the Divinity School, many of whom have other obligations on this Sunday morning, who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Ministry, Doctor of Theology, Master of Divinity, Master of Theological Studies, and Master of Arts in Christian Studies, and Master of Arts in Christian Practice, and whose names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the Divinity School and salute you as you embark on your vocations in service to your high calling. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on Marion Broom, Dean of the School of Nursing.
Will the candidates for the School of Nursing please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the exceptional women and men of the School of Nursing who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Nursing Practice, Master of Science in Nursing, and Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and whose names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the School of Nursing and welcome you to the company of those who apply knowledge and compassion to provide skillful care. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on Bill Bolding, Dean of the Fuqua School of Business.
Will the candidates for the Fuqua School of Business please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the supportive and collaborative men and women of the Fuqua School of Business who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all the requirements for the degrees of Master of Business Administration and Master of Management Studies. I would also like to make a special mention of the candidates who will graduate on May 20th as the first class from Duke Kunshan University in China. All names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the School of Business and welcome you to the work of building our economic future through thoughtful and responsible management. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. I now call on Alan Townsend, Dean of the Nicholas School of the Environment.
Will the candidates from the Nicholas School and the degree marshal please rise and come forward? Mr. President, it's my distinct honor to present the extraordinarily dedicated women and men of the Nicholas School of the Environment, who have been approved by the faculty as completing all requirements for the degrees of Master of Forestry and Master of Environmental Management. Their names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the Nicholas School of the Environment and welcome you to the work of understanding and protecting the natural world. Congratulations.
Graduates, you may be seated. I now call upon Kelly Brownell, Dean of the Sanford School of Public Policy.
Will the candidates for the Sanford School of Public Policy please rise and the degree marshals come forward? Mr. President, I have the honor to present the innovative women and men of the Sanford School of Public Policy who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Master of International Development Policy and Master of Public Policy, and whose names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the Sanford School of Public Policy and welcome you to the company of those who seek to transform ideas into policies for the greater good. Congratulations.
Graduates, you may be seated. I now call upon Tom Katsouleas, Dean of the Pratt School of Engineering.
You seem to be very popular.
I feel like it, yeah. Will the candidates for the Pratt School of Engineering please rise and the degree marshals come forward?
Mr. President, I have the honor to present the ingenious, engaged, indomitable, and inimitable men and women of the Pratt School of Engineering who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Master of Engineering Management, Master of Engineering, and Bachelor of Science in Engineering, and whose names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in the Pratt School of Engineering and welcome you to join those pioneering new paths for technology. Congratulations.
Graduates, please be seated. Last but not least, I call on Lori Patton, Dean of Arts and Sciences.
Will the candidates for the Trinity College of Arts and Sciences please rise? And the degree marshals come forward. Mr. President, I have the honor to present the extremely excited and exceptionally talented, transformative, true to their vision, trustworthy, trailblazing, and terrific men and women of Trinity College, who have been approved by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts, and whose names appear in the printed program.
By the authority vested in me, I hereby confer upon you these degrees in Trinity College and welcome you to the company of educated men and women. Congratulations.
Graduates, you may be seated. And I would like to acknowledge the leadership and contributions of our Dean of Arts and Sciences, Lori Patton, who is leaving Duke this summer to become president of Middlebury. Thank you, Dean Patton.
Graduates, please stay seated for one moment. This ceremony is about to come to an end, but let me say a few final words. To parents and families and friends who've traveled from near and far to join our celebration, we thank you for sharing the joy of this day. It has been our privilege to have these students as members of our community, and we take as much pride in their achievements as you do. To Duke faculty and staff, thank you for being teachers, advisors, mentors, and friends to our graduates, for challenging them, for lighting their way, and for creating a vibrant intellectual community. And last, to graduates of the Duke class of 2015, Duke has given you the raw materials, but you have to make of your education whatever it is you want to make of it. As you make your way in the world, the faculty and I look forward to seeing our world become brighter, kinder, more efficient, more interesting. We can't wait to see what you will do. Now get out of here and go and do it. As we complete these commencement exercises, I will remind you of the special ceremonies of the various schools, departments, and programs that follow back on campus, and would ask that you now please rise for the singing of the Duke Alma Mater.
Dear old Duke, thy name will sing. To thee our voices raise, will raise.
And now please join our student ensemble of our national. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes Duke University's 163rd commencement ceremony. Please enjoy musical selections by the Duke University Pep Band as our newest alumni exit the ballpark.